Hello, hello everyone in the Dragon Eye tribe. It's Amy Bolton here. Intuitive wild woman, medicine woman, all the things. I'm here to continue my series on sacred spirit plant healing. We'll be going live every Thursday, the first Thursday of the month at this exact same time, 10 a.m. Pacific time. You can convert that to whatever that looks like in your time zone. Just like last time, I'm going to bring up, I didn't see the comments, so I'm going to bring up it on my computer so that I can see it. And then, which it should pop up here soon. And then I can see your comments, hopefully, as you guys are joining. If you're watching the replay, feel free to drop some comments and say hi. Let me know that you're watching the replay. Well, I get this set up over here so I hopefully can see your comments. You guys can try and comment and I'll see if I see you joining. See if it works over here, but what's going on? Let's see. Gotta love Facebook, hey, and all the wonderfulness of it. How are you guys all doing today? And if you're watching the replay, I would love to know if you watched last week, the very first of the series, and if you thought much about plants. What kind of plants? There we are. Here we go. I found it. Well, I get this. Pause. Don't want it to make noise. There you go. I can see your comments. Thank you, Kate, and thank you, Edmundo. I super appreciate it. Yay! Okay. So let me know if you thought about any plants last week. If you did, you can drop that in the comments, whether you're watching the replay or whether you're watching me live. I would love to know what you started observing and noticing with plants in your life, and if there was one particular plant that kind of stood out to you. These are called power plants. Now I want to, again, just like in the very first episode of this series, we were talking a little bit about being very respectful. So respectful of the land. We're not just going to start, I know it's a little harsh, but I hear it all the time, is start raping the land and taking from it, right? You think of places where people have completely decimated the forests and taken all the trees, and then what happens is the ecosystem is gone. There's no more interconnectedness. There's no more life that's happening in that forest. A real forest, like a true forest, has been around for many years, and it has so many different plants interconnected and living together off of each other. And when we strip away those plants, and we're not doing this with the most reverence and sacredness and regard towards the plants, it can be very destructive to the earth. So I want everybody to come into this with those intentions of really being mindful of what we're doing. And so with working with the plant spirit, we're not actually harvesting, or we're not actually foraging. So I encourage you to work with the plant spirit without even touching the plant or taking the plant, because some plants are dangerous too, right? Unless you actually have been doing this for years. And I hope I'm still connected here. There we go. It says I'm not. Okay. Oh, and look, comments are popping up here. They're just really delayed over here. Interesting. So yeah, when, sorry, I had a call try and come through. It's going to voicemail now, distracting me. Yeah, so when we work with this plant spirit, we don't necessarily need to take the plant. We don't need to harvest the plant at all. But we can energetically speak with that plant. So what I wanted to do today was go through a power plant with you. So when you start noticing, so for me particularly, I'd have to say yarrow has been one of the power plants that has spoke to me the most. And it's been, and I mentioned last week as well, I have it kind of everywhere. I have it on my altar. I have it in my car. I have it in my medicine kit. Actually, I have it in a lot of salves that I've made over the years, but it's taken many years to grow and learn with this plant. So And like Rose, so Rose has been calling me a lot recently, which is interestingly because in the Dragoness group that Cara Mendez teaches in here, and she's opening the wait list, so join. We were working on breaking open our hearts, or not breaking open our hearts, but opening our hearts and deepening into our heart medicine, because often we have protectors and guards over it. So Rose has come to me in this time as I've been opening up my heart and learning to work with my heart more. And as I went down to the river and I was asking my mom, who's passed on, my late mom, who's been gone for 7 years-ish now, coming up on 8 actually this spring, I said, Mom, why did you bring me here? Because as I commune and as I connect with my mom and as I learn to hear her more and connect with her more, and I asked these questions, and she said to open your heart, Amy. You need to open your heart. And then I started seeing the roses and rose hips that are all over my property from a different lens. And I was like, oh, okay, I get this. And I even did a ritual. The little jar that's up there has some rose hips in it, as well as some yarrow, as well as some red clover, which is about the womb. So the womb, the heart, and then the spiritual protection. So the 3 together have been speaking to me for many, many years. And it's been a journey. And so as an introductory or as a basic thing, what I encourage you to do is get out and notice what plants are really, what do you really notice out there? What plants do you really notice? Can you take a picture of it? Can you start to identify it? Can you meditate with it? So take a moment and just really connect to it. Maybe it's a tree that you're connected to. And, hugging a tree is a beautiful practice to do as well. And really listening to the tree. Some trees, their trees are funny. There's a bunch of, I call them poplar there, but it's so funny how they're common names. There's multiple names for many plants, and it gets a little bit confusing. And I'm by no means a herbalist or, so talk to your doctor before you're taking any medicine, but I can give you some pointers based on my experience. And that's where this deeper medicine woman stuff is connected to the energetics and the vibrations and the spirit of the plant, which starts speaking to us. And the neat thing is we don't actually have to ingest. We don't have to take the medicine. We can just have it with us and commune with it and connect with us. And some of the medicine is just through the messages that happen as we essentially meditate or connect with the plant spirits. It's kind of like connecting to a deity or a guide, right? Your guide or a loved one on the other side. Very similar. We all have these intuitive abilities. We all have this way to connect, but they're muscles. So it takes time. And when I first started hearing the messages coming through plants, and oftentimes it's just through the shape or the look or just being curious and just really opening your mind to that. And so once you've identified your power plant, whatever that plant is, you can start to work with it. Maybe you decide to order some seeds and learn about growing it and having it in your herb garden. Maybe you start to, maybe it's in your yard and you start to connect with it and listen to it. Maybe you've done deeper research and you do decide to actually harvest it and have it in jars in your home, right? This is red clover, and it likely grows many places around you. It's very common. It's planted on lawns and things, but make sure it's clean and it hasn't been sprayed. This is very good for our womb health, and just having it in presence with you is a huge thing. So I'm switching back and forth over here. I almost need like 3 computers going on here. Good old technology. So various cultures around the world have used plant medicine, and often the shapes of the plants kind of tell us what they're for. So lungwort, which is a bluebell. Bluebells are edible. Again, make sure you do your research, make sure you identify it, don't start eating plants. But bluebells are so interesting because they help our lungs, and they look like little tiny lungs. And they're called lungwort. That is one of their names. So things like this, you'll start to notice in the plants and how they appear, how they look, and how they impact our bodies, which is so fascinating, and it's so fun, and it makes it a little bit easier to start connecting with the plants and tuning into the plants. And this is an art that has been used for generations and generations across the world, that has been kind of lost. There are people that do these things. There's lots of herbalist teachings out there that's more about the big charts at the back of my book that says what this is for and how it works with you. But the generational passing on of the wisdom of looking at the plants and identifying them and seeing what they're meant for or what they can help you with, and understanding the spiritual connection to those plants. That part is often not talked about. And I know Lee Joseph talks about it in her book, how when she was doing a university degree in botany and stuff and learning about all this stuff, her aunt, an Indigenous woman from southern British Columbia, had shared with her, said, don't forget about the other teachings, the teachings of connecting with the spirit of the plant. And it's so, so important that we connect with plants in this way. And it's a very gentle, very beautiful approach, but it has to be treated with a lot of respect, and you can bring these plants into your ceremony. And again, once you've identified that power plant in your life, you can call on that spirit anytime, right? So if you need protection and you've connected lots with yarrow, I can just think of yarrow, and it provides protection for me. I have it in my car because it provides protection. And then when we were traveling in my husband's truck, I was like, hey, we need some yarrow in here, because if we're going to be going on a long trip, I just feel we're going to be much safer having this plant here, just having that spirit and that energy and that essence of it. Last week, I think it was Clara had asked about the Bach flower seeds, or Bach flower remedies. And there's this huge book. I was given this a long, long time ago. A dear friend of mine had given me this book, and it's wild. This book is wild. It's huge. It's like massive. And they talk about Bach flowers in here, and I've been given Bach flowers essences over the years. And it's interesting with Bach flowers is there's only a tiny, tiny bit of the plant, and the rest is water, right? And science says that water takes on the frequency and the energetics we give to it, right? So when we do our full moon rituals, or when we do moon rituals, and we take our water and we put our energy into it, it changes the structure of the water, right? So when you take the Bach flower, just the broken down, like it's a very refined part of it, and you put it into your water, it changes the water, and it gives that plant medicine to you, which is so interesting. It's such a fascinating part. I always like to tie things into science a little bit, because I grew up where my mom was not really connected to spirituality in any way. She was atheist, and so for her, she always drew things to science and connected with science and math. She was very, very smart when it came to math, very, very smart. And so I like to connect that in the science bits that are so, so powerful. And the plants too, like the studies that have happened where there's plants that respond to our energy in the room, right? My mom could never keep plants alive, which was so funny, and we always had artificial plants. Whereas some people just, they hear the people with the green thumb or whatever, and they just keep all the plants alive. But it's their energy and their frequency that they're emitting as they're you know, going about their day to day. My mom was very stressed out and tired and exhausted all the time, and she had a lot going on. She was a nurse for the beginning of her life, which nursing is an intense job. Like, it is wild. I watch those nurses out there, and like, especially in today's day, right? And so she had that scientific approach to things, and I pull in the more spiritual side of things, but I like to pull in a little bit of the science as well. Let's see, just making sure I don't have any comments here. So what I wanted to do today with you guys, and I will do it so that when you're watching the replay, you can totally drop in, is I want to drop you into a little bit of a tiny guided meditation so that you can see, if you haven't already identified what your power plants are, or what plant brings you power, right? It brings you that energy. It makes you feel really, really good. And you could have multiple. It's kind of like power animals, right? And we want to have so much respect when we're thinking about these things. Because all indigenous cultures have different practices in different cultures, right? Some of them work with certain animals, and some work with certain plants, etc., etc. So as we're navigating this, we do want to have that high regard for those things. And I know in this book that I mentioned last week, she talks, there's a lot of parallels between the plants and the moons and the lessons. So like in a lot of storytelling, the plants come in as teachers, the animals come in as teachers, and they teach us lessons. And as we pass these stories on, those lessons get passed on to future generations, right? So I've been working a lot with the lizard spirit animal who came to me in my own, I did my own little meditation, and like I say, yarrow and rose. So we're going to go into doing that. And if you're watching the replay, let me know if you have thought of what your power animal is. Okay, so just take a moment and close your eyes, get settled, get comfortable. And if you have to, if you're watching the replay, you can pause this and get yourself ready. Feel free to light a candle, get your essential oils, whatever feels good to you. Make it as simple and easy as possible, even if you're just sitting in a comfy chair or laying on your bed. Just take a moment to take some deep breaths into your belly and relax, and just find your body falling into whatever surface you're sitting or laying on. Deep belly breaths. And release. I love releasing my breath with sound. So if there's sounds that need to come out, just release. Let it all out. So get in your body, get in your body. Now imagine you are walking down a path and you're going deep into the forest. The tall trees are surrounding you. Notice what they look like. Listen to the sounds around you. Maybe there's birds. Maybe you hear some squirrels or little critters in the distance. Maybe there's a bit of wind and the breeze through the trees. You hear the sound and the rustling of the branches and the leaves and the plants down in the lower part of the forest, the lower canopy. And you're walking along and you're just noticing all of the plants, and you can smell the fresh air and the fragrance of the different plants as you're walking. Notice what time of year it is. Is it in the winter, the summer, the spring, the fall? What's alive for you? What's alive in this forest? Just keep breathing and walking and noticing what you hear, what you smell. And as you're coming up around a bend, you're coming in, and you start to notice this plant right in front of you. You can feel its energy coming at you. And you walk up with curiosity and an open mind as you're noticing and seeing this plant. You stop for a moment and you listen. Maybe you sit down in meditation and connect with the plant. And perhaps you brought your journal with you as you're sitting there. You start writing down what the plant is speaking to you. Notice what is being said to you as you are in the presence of the energy of this plant spirit. Notice if you can identify what plant is in front of you. Maybe you're not sure quite yet what the plant is. Maybe you just kind of make some notes in your journal, in your mind's eye, of what this plant looks like. Is there a smell that comes with this plant? What does the energy feel like? Is it telling you to stay away? Is it inviting you in? Does it feel like it's it's connected to a certain part of your body, a certain chakra, a certain area of your body? Take a breath and notice where you're feeling this plant energy within your body. Just sit with that. Take in all the information that you need. And then you can stand up if you've been sitting in your meditation. And then you can leave the plant and thank it. Maybe you give it a little bit of tobacco, you give it some of your hair, some tea, some cornmeal, whatever it is that you have available that you can give back to the plant. But most importantly, you're thanking the plant for the wisdom that it's just invoked onto you and offered you. Noticing the way it looks and thanking it, and noticing the energy as you're thanking the plant. And then you continue on and come out of the forest and you come back. And slowly come back into the room, and opening your eyes and back here with me. So if you want, you can take that part of this live and you can go back and you can record it, or you can screen record it if you want. You can take that piece and you can go through that meditation and see what is coming up for you. You can get out your journal after listening to that and write down what that plant is teaching you. Do you know what the plant is? What does it look like? Are you guided to do more research on it? To learn the different names of the plant, whatever has shown up for you as a power plant. Hi, Kara. So really, really take that. So I just kind of did a very quick 5-minute meditation to guide you guys into identifying what your power plant is. And go back and listen to that and let me know. Let me know what has shown up for you, what messages have shown up for you. What did you hear? What did you smell? What did you notice? What energy did the plant bring to you? And that's the medicine you can start working with and identifying. And like I said in the beginning, you can always get seeds. You can start planting these plants. You can find them locally. And some plants are maybe it's just calling on the spirit and looking at images of them. I'm thinking of like the lady slippers, for instance, who are an endangered species. So if for some reason that has come to you, maybe there's some deeper research that you can do on that species and how delicate and how fragile the fairy slippers, the lady slippers are. I know they grow abundantly up north where I am, but the forests up there are untouched. Nobody's been taking plants from them or destroying, and there's been so much respect for the land up north and very few humans. It's a very remote location. One thing that I learned years ago was, you hear the people say the middle of nowhere. Well, I didn't grow up in the middle of nowhere. I grew up in the middle of somewhere very, very, very beautiful and amazing. And that terminology comes from colonialism and indoctrinating us into thinking that these remote locations are nothing and nowhere. But some of the most beautiful, beautiful plants and ecosystems grow in these spaces, and they need to be respected and regarded with so much love and so much honor and respect. And yeah. I think about the forests that have just been decimated and destroyed, and how the logging industry keeps coming in and replanting, and eventually the soil is tired, and the trees, the speed in which they try to grow these trees it's wild. But these spaces are so special, and I know there's this place I'm thinking of in Europe, where they have I'm drawing a blank to the name of it, but they have a sanctuary where they have all the poisonous plants across the world, which is so interesting. It makes me think of the poison path, and how all these plants, and it's so important for us to know which plants are poisonous along our journey as well. And this is why I encourage you to go through 4 seasons with a plant before you actually ever start consuming or using the plant, unless you're under the guidance of a herbalist or a doctor or a nurse, somebody who knows their stuff. Never start consuming things without having that extra guidance, of course. And that's why we're talking about plant spirits. As much as I do harvest plants and I do forage for plants and I do use them with my family and I, there's a process. There's a process of taking a little bit and trusting our system and how it's processing, and how it's what medicine it's getting from the plant. And yes, of course, I use a lot of my books, like that giant book, Natural Healing, Wisdom, and Know-How. There's so much in there. There's so much useful information in there. It's wild. I don't even know. Well, I know now, how all the dots start connecting. And I was given this beautiful book years and years ago. And, last week, guys, when I was starting to prepare for this, I didn't realize how many plant books I had. Actually, I really didn't know. And I didn't know that I was working with plant spirits until I had read the beginning of the Boreal Herbal a couple years ago. And I was like, oh, this is what I'm doing. This is what I've intuitively been guided to do for much of my life, is as a little girl, it was connecting to the fairies and that childhood innocence, and really, really noticing the plants and how they worked with the fairies. So this was like very, very early age when I was a little girl, looking at the details of the plants and how they work. And I remember, I think it was a couple years ago, Kara was out on a hike and she had shared a picture of an arnica, and it was just a pretty yellow flower, right? And she says, here's this picture that I took on my hike. And I was like, that's arnica. That's a wild arnica flower. Well, maybe it's wild, maybe it was planted. Who knows? I don't know. But I was like, oh, because I grew up, and I talk about this in my book, guys. So my book is out. I forgot about that. My book is out. And I talk a little bit more about the stories and the messages through the plants. And I talk about arnica in that book as well. So, and I talk about the deeper lessons of the rose, the deeper lessons of the yarrow, and all the different plants. There's so many more. There's so many more. I have multiple books in my head coming since I've published this one, because there's so many plants that have taught me so many lessons, and they continue to do so. And like I say, it just takes noticing and communicating with the plants. Like it says here, be patient. It may take a while for plant spirits to communicate. They may communicate in visual symbols, through your feelings, a small voice in your mind. It's likely that you won't learn everything you want to know about the plant in one setting. So be prepared to spend more time with it. Whether you get, whatever you get, record it, right? Some of these messages may not make so much sense right off the bat. Right off, but write it down, keep track. If you want, keep a journal of your power plant and what it's teaching you. I've done this with my my power animal that I've connected with through meditation, and kept notes, and I have many journals, and I go back. I use a bullet journal system, so I can look in the very beginning, the context or the index, and look back and be like, oh yeah, that's what I wrote down when I did that. So whenever you do these things, keep notes and keep track of it, because dots will start connecting and puzzle pieces will start connecting, and it'll start making more sense. But the plants are speaking to you. They really are. And remember that you can connect to the plants whenever you need to. Yeah, writing everything down. And again, as a caution, don't ever eat the plants or taste the plants. Of course, unless you've done your research. But in the beginning, like I say, you need to wait 4 seasons to understand the plant, because within those 4 seasons, you're going to know whether that plant is poisonous or not. You're going to learn whether that plant, what that plant needs to teach you. And poisonous plants have medicine for us too, guys. So if you're drawn to a poisonous plant, there's medicine there for you as well. There really, truly, truly is. Buttercups are so bright and vibrant and yellow, and I didn't know. Like, how many of us as children have picked buttercups? I don't know. I did, and thought they were so pretty. We knew never to eat plants, but they're very poisonous and very toxic. And we actually lost one of our lizards when we were having them out in the yard, and we were trying to get them to only eat the dandelions and the plantain and certain things on the lawn. And he got a little bit of a buttercup, or she did, and we lost her. She wouldn't eat after that. She refused to eat. Her whole body was it was poisoned. Her whole body was poisoned, and she just slowly passed away. And so this is, plants teach us about the death and rebirth cycle a lot. And yeah, don't be scared of learning about the poisonous plants as well, because it's just as important. And when I read in my mushroom books, I'm not super tuned in on mushrooms. I do know a few. There are certain ones that I will pick because I know them very well. I've worked with them for many years and through my life. But knowing the poisonous mushrooms is huge. It's so important, because some of these things, like particularly certain mushrooms, some of them are very, very poisonous. Most of them aren't. It is hyped up about the poisonous stuff, but that is a huge piece of this, guys, is knowing what is safe and what isn't safe, and just starting with 1 or 2 plants every year, and going through the seasons. Let's see, I'm just gonna bring up my notes again and see if I've kind of covered everything. I think I have. If you guys have any questions whatsoever while you're watching the replay, let me know and I will respond to them. I know I'm kind of a bit squirrely when it comes to the way I just fire hose information out, and then it can be a little bit much. So feel free to pause and rewind and replay as much as you need to. And I will drop the link for my book in here, so feel free to check out my book, because it adds to all these teachings that I'm teaching you. It adds more stories, so you can kind of see a deeper lens on how I have been able to do this work in practice, if that makes sense. So like through stories that I've had interactions with all the various plants, whether it be fireweed, arnica, yarrow, rose. I don't think I went into plantain a little bit too much. I did offer some information in the beginning of my book on it, but not a lot. Dandelion's huge. Red clover. And then I go into the elements as well, and deeper teachings of the earth, because the deeper part of this plant stuff is getting into the earth magic, and and doing this gets this. There's some deep work we can get into this. This is a prayer. I guess I'm going to leave you guys with this prayer. And this is really beautiful to do when you have a group of people. I've done this at my retreats before, where we all hold hands and we do this prayer together. And it's very, very powerful for calling in the earth spirits and the plant spirits, and really respecting everything. Honoring the plants and the everything that's on the earth. So I'll leave you with that, and feel free to check out my website too. I have various things on there. I don't know. There's all these things coming down. It's exciting. So if you want to work with me deeper too, when it comes to plant medicine, reach out, message me, and I can hop on a call with you. They're only $44 for now, just to hop on a call for an hour and to connect and talk deeper about the plants. You can bring up the specific plants that you're talking about, your power animals, if you want to do more of a deeper meditation and connect with that, and ask me any questions you have. Let me know. And otherwise get my book, because it will give you a little bit of a foundation of what I'm talking about here as well. Okay, so I'm going to read this prayer here, and then we're going to hop off, and let me know if you have any questions, and I can hop back in and answer them as we go. Great Spirit, we come to you in deep humility, and with our hearts open, we pray to the powers of creation, Grandfather Sun, Grandmother Moon, Earth Mother, and to our ancestors. We pray to all relations in nature, all those who walk, crawl, fly, and swim, seen and unseen, to the good spirits that exist in every part of creation. We ask that you bless our elders, children, family, and friends. Thank you for giving us the strength and courage to deal with whatever lies ahead. Thank you, Great Spirit, for always being at our side, always showing us the way. Thank you, Mother Earth, for your bounty, for the blessings you provide for us each day and every day. Thank you for giving the very substance of our bodies and for the substance and nourishment you provide. Help us find ways to restore balance in our relationship with you and all your children. Teach us to walk lightly on your belly and to always see your grace and beauty. Great Spirit, may there be good health and healing for our Earth Mother. May I always know the beauty above me. May I always know the beauty below me. May I always know the beauty in me. And may I always know the beauty around me. I ask that this world be filled with peace, love, and beauty. You can raise your arms up and offer that to the Earth Mother. Take a deep breath. Thank you. Thank you, Great Spirit. Thank you, Earth Mother. It is so. Have a beautiful day, guys. Talk to you soon.